Welcome to Please Me, the award-winning bilingual sexuality podcast bringing you bold conversations and big clit energy. I'm thrilled to announce that Please Me is the #1 ranked sexuality podcast in the USA and worldwide. I'm Eve, your host, on a journey from trauma to sexual liberation. Join me and my guests as we dive into conversations around orgasm equality, self-love, body positivity, and essential sex education. Let's reclaim pleasure and close the orgasm gap, one empowering conversation at a time. Today is episode 2 of season 7, and I am thrilled to welcome Kayla Moore to the podcast. Through her personal healing journey, Kayla discovered that pleasure is not a luxury, it's a birthright. She now helps women reclaim that birthright and step into their divine feminine energy. In this episode, we explore the rising divine feminine and what it means for women to embrace their creative, sensual power within. This season, Eve returns to the original format with weekly podcast episodes, plus the continuation of the fan favorite roleplay segment at the end of every episode. Always fun, always spicy, and not to be missed. Early access drops every Monday on Patreon with public releases every Wednesday on all major podcast platforms, so set your alarms. Want to ask a question for the Please Me podcast? Join the conversation on Patreon or subscribe to my Substack newsletter for exclusive content, behind-the-scenes updates, and a chance to have your questions featured on the show. Please Me is for mature audiences, so sit back, relax, and surrender to the pleasure of Please Me.
I'm still just coming into my own understanding of exactly like what the divine feminine and what the divine masculine is. But if your listeners could like close their eyes and think of being held in a space, you know, both you and I create, like you were saying, sacred, safe spaces. And the divine masculine really is the energy that like holds the space. I use the word container, but
What is natural? When you read natural flavors on a label, most people don't realize it's often not real food at all. Those hidden ingredients quietly work against how your body feels and functions over time. That's why Just Ingredients uses only real food ingredients, so you know exactly what you're putting in your body. Stop guessing. Start knowing at justingredients.us.
Hello, and welcome to Please Me, the podcast that aims to destigmatize conversations about sex and sexual health by turning the sheets into our class. Today, I'm so excited to welcome Kayla Moore to the show. She is a sacred disruptor and sovereign guide, devoted to liberating women from the systems that keep them small, silent, and disconnected from their power. She's also a licensed marriage and family therapist and certified sex therapist. She blends clinical wisdom and sacred feminine practice to create safe, transformative spaces, which is me is too. It's definitely a safe space. And so I want to welcome you, Kayla, to the show. Thank you so much for coming on today.
thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you.
I am too. And, you know, I have covered the divine feminine in the past, but what you're doing, I think, is really so targeted. And I just absolutely love that. And I would love to talk about what you think is a sacred disruptor. I'd love to know exactly what you mean by that. And also a sovereign guide. Let's speak on your platform and the way that you describe yourself, because I think it's genius.
For sure. So I am a weaver of a lot of different things into kind of a melting pot of what I am working on. And I think sacred disruptor comes from a place of really having a heart for justice, for activism work. I really root what I do in a place where I want to continue to disrupt the patriarchy, to disrupt the norms that we have all been living under for a very long time. I think I come from a systems background as a therapist, and I see the interconnectedness of everything in our world. And I think in the work that I have done with clients, oftentimes I feel like a lot of the things that they're struggling with are more systemic issues, that it's not the person is at fault and therefore has anxiety, or the person is at fault and therefore has depression, or they don't have time for intimacy because they're not making time for it. It's because they're working, 50, 60 hours a week. And though, yes, we do have a little bit of autonomy in how and when we can work and if we want to leave a job, a lot of people today don't have a lot of flexibility with that. And especially for parents that have kids, and then also both parents are working jobs and things, I just feel like there's so much outside pressure and so many outside forces that are making life hard that are not necessarily like an individual issue. And so I really root my work in, I want to not only help heal individuals, help heal couples, but also help heal our world. And part of that is continuing the conversation of how do we move our world forward in a way that is healthier for human beings in general. Like, how do we create a world that actually supports our lives instead of making our lives so much harder to live than they need to be? So I think that's where the sacred disruptor part comes in. And then the sovereign guide, I really believe as I have gone on my spiritual journey, I'm getting downloads that I really do feel like in past lives, I was some type of like warrior goddess. And I feel like that is coming through for me right now, less so around needing to fight and more so around wanting to lead with love. And I really do feel like I am somebody that is meant to be here to help guide us in this new way of being. If any of your listeners are kind of into the woo woo space right now, like, we are entering into some really intense energy actually coming up this weekend in December with we have a new moon, we have the winter in the northern hemisphere solstice. We have Three Eye Atlas, which is a comet that has been really in the conversation about the energies that we're getting. So I really do believe that we are entering into a new era. And I can just see it and I can feel it, that there are a lot of people that are starting to think differently about the world, that we are coming back to a place of really wanting to be in communion and harmony with each other, coming back to a more collectivist, community oriented type world. And I think my part in it is helping people come back to the sacred feminine, really trying to understand what does that mean in our lives again. And my hope is to eventually get to a place where I can help heal both the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. I think I'm still on my journey of figuring out how to really bring both of those into the work that I do. But right now I know specifically that helping women specifically heal in the sacred feminine and bringing that back into how we know about ourselves and talk about ourselves and how we move through the world, I think is so important. So I see myself as like, I am standing in my own integrity and my own sovereignty, and I am helping guide those women around me that are wanting to grow and rise together, and then turn outward and become beacons of light for other people to see that this is safe to do again, that remembering who we once were and how we used to live is safe. And they get to go out into the world and show that it's okay for others to do the same. So I know that was kind of a long explanation for both of those, but hopefully that makes sense of why I'm using those terms.
So I want to talk about, you just like sort of broke it down a little bit, the collective paradigm shift that you talk as to pleasure. I'd love to know your take on.
Yeah. So I really think that pleasure is not just sexual pleasure. I have my own podcast called Connected Pleasure, and I look at pleasure kind of more on a global scale of how do we bring pleasure back into all different aspects of life. Again, I'm kind of nerdy when it comes to a lot of different aspects of society, and I have a lot of opinions on how we could do things differently. And I really like to talk about, like, what does it just mean to be in pleasure? What does that mean in your body? And I have asked a lot of my guests, what does that mean? And I think it really comes back to just being present, to being able to experience the world through all of your senses. And that is just not something that we are taught how to do in our world, or even given space and room to do in our world, to slow down, to really close our eyes, tune into our body, and again, feel safe enough in our body to feel pleasure. Most of us are operating in fight, flight, freeze, all the F's most of the time. And so I do think there is a new paradigm shift around all types of pleasure, but especially sexual pleasure. And I think it's kind of a both and. You can't necessarily experience sexual pleasure if you don't even know what any type of pleasure feels like. But being able to work in a space where you can cultivate sexual pleasure allows you, I think, to experience pleasure in all forms as well. So we kind of can get at it from both sides. Um, but I think sexual pleasure, especially, is one of those systems of wisdom and power that all people have, but especially women, that has been really stripped away from us. It has been told to us that this is not for us. And in our current culture, most women still, are operating from a paradigm of it's not for me, it's maybe bad or taboo or sinful. Some people are really coming from, very religious cultures that have shamed them around sex. And when it comes to like heterosexual couples, which is what I typically work with, although I have worked with all identities and all spectrums, I really do think that a lot of women still feel like sex is just for my partner, that I'm just here to serve, I'm just here to give and to please. And it gets to a point where a lot of women tend to feel like sex is no longer for me, that pleasure is no longer for me. And so I think being able to reclaim that and feel like I can access my desire, I can access my own pleasure, I can advocate for it, and I can feel like it is mine to experience and to own and to like feel whenever I want to feel, and to co-create with my partner if I have a partner. I think that ripples out into all aspects of life. I think when women are able to reclaim that part of themselves, then they are more confident in themselves in general. They are able to, be more confident at work, be able to be more stable and grounded in their families and in themselves, because it usually comes back to the nervous system. It's feeling safe in our bodies. And if we can be able to regulate our nervous systems and feel like, again, that is something that I can harness and own, then it ripples out into all the other areas of our life. And so I really think that this movement, it has had roots in a lot of different places, and I think it's been growing for a really long time. But I think we're finally at a point where we're not going back, and we're not allowing, the powers that be to say this is no longer, or this is still not for you. We're saying, no, it is for me. And we're remembering that it is something that is really important, and it's foundational to us being able to be fully human. Like, I think pleasure is part of being human.
I
So,
agree. Yes, 100%. And I think that our missions are really very much aligned. I always say, that we all deserve love and we all deserve pleasure. And I agree that there is a paradigm shift happening as we are experiencing it. And you talked about patriarchal thinking and patriarchy, and really many of the nations of the world are still patriarchal societies, right? And still teaching these same tenets of, keeping the woman small and keeping the woman silent. And so how do we, and first of all, let's just like break down any other systems that you think that also contribute to, and you mentioned religion, that is one whole other system, right? But like any other systems that contribute to this aspect of our history, and how we can rewrite it in a way that does start to honor the divine feminine and start to expand that information, that education to people around the world. And it's not just women, because I think women can really benefit from this, from really being able to access the power that they have within. But also, men need to be on board. And I'm seeing so many more posts about men, like really breaking down why women are deciding to, not be in relationships with men, because men are not trying to, grow and to heal on the same level, I think, as women do. So, and I think that that's so essential, because you want both sides to be healed and to be working on themselves. Because otherwise, you can leave that person, might start off young and, in love. And, if one person is growing and the other person isn't, they're going to stay behind. So I would love to know, what other systems you think contribute to this, and how we can start to teach, collectively, not just, women out there, but like everybody in the world, right? And what's amazing about podcasting is that it really is worldwide, and this show is listened to in 122 countries. So it's really cool that we get to, have this educational platform to be able to really put out that information.
So I think, when we talk about patriarchy, we're talking about a system of how society is organized. We're not talking about men or women. We're just talking about like, this is how we have deemed what is valuable in our society and who is going, well, first of all, patriarchy is a top down system, where matriarchy is more of a circle. It's more everybody is collectively coming together to make decisions in a circle based and communal based way, versus somebody at the top making decisions and it trickling down to everyone else like we do now. And so I think all systems are affected by that. And just the way that we teach young girls, young boys, all, spectrums of gender, but we teach it in a binary, even though it's not a binary. That, this is the way that you are supposed to live and be as your assigned gender at birth, because these are the roles that we have deemed you to need to be in society. And so I think we've been in a space of really deconstructing what those mean. And I think the younger generations are really starting to blur the lines a lot more. I think it can be hard for older generations to understand like why younger generations are becoming so much more fluid. But I think it's just because they're like, we don't care. We don't care what the system says we're supposed to be. We're just going to play within whatever we think is fun and whatever feels true to me. And so I think your question to like what other systems, I think all systems, I think education systems, the workplace, like we said, religious institutions, our governments, like all of them play a role in how we think and feel about ourselves as human beings and ultimately about our sexuality. And so when it comes to healing what we call the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine, or divine feminine, divine masculine, these are Also, just archetypes. It's really important that, again, people don't feel like this is us talking about these roles that society has constructed and the like scripts that we are supposed to follow in those roles. They're really just energies and archetypes that we all have within us. No matter what gender you are, we all come from an egg and a sperm. And so we all have both feminine and masculine energy within us. And so I think what has happened, though, I'm not great with like historical dates, but what happened way back when Constantine and like the Romans were like taking over the world, they saw that the Bible was like already being used as a tool by a segment of people that were studying like very, very early Christianity. And they decided that they were going to use this as their kind of like weapon, essentially, to get people to fall under their control, because they saw that there were actually teachings that were showing people how to really go into themselves and connect to the divine, whatever that, you know, back in the day it meant a certain thing, but today it could mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. Whatever your source is, it was giving a blueprint of how to connect to source. And there were actually a lot more women. Mary Magdalene was a really integral person in that story, to like giving that blueprint and showing what the divine masculine and the divine feminine were. And so they decided to strip all that out because it was not in line with what they wanted. And they wanted people to be able to be more controllable. And so they took all that out and started teaching a patriarchal structure. And we have been living under that structure till today, where we are now, in my opinion, seeing the collapse of that structure again. Because for like 200 plus thousand years, we had been in more of a matrilineal societal structure before we got patriarchy. And we've only had patriarchy for about like 10,000 years. And so a lot of people are saying we're in this bubble that's bursting, and we're kind of seeing the collapse of that. And we're coming back to more of a baseline of coming back to like women and children and families being at the center of our communities and how we structure society. That it's not a flip flop of like women are now going to be on top and we're going to make men submissive to us. It's everybody coming together and feeling like we all have a balance and a role again to play, but that families and women and children are going to be at the center, and then it kind of ripples out from there. And so to your question about the divine feminine, divine masculine being healed, I think it's been really harmful for everyone, like you said, to have the erasure of the divine feminine in our culture, basically taking all those teachings out, erasing like pagan rituals and things where we were really one with the earth, one with everything. It was like all creation is one, and we all treat each other as if like if I harm you, then I am harming myself. That I can't harm the earth without harming myself. I can't harm another human without harming myself. I can't harm an animal without harming myself. We really treated everything as sacred, and we have gone very, very far away from that. And so I think that has really damaged us as human beings. For women, obviously, we know personally what that feels like. It has gone to a place where we are so fearful in our world. Everything has become really just, I mean, so many things are traumatic for women, but just walking through the world is scary. It is unsafe. We have been told, we're property. We can't do a lot of different things that we've now reclaimed, but now are trying to be rolled back, such as reproductive freedom. I mean, it still blows my mind that even just like since my mom's been alive, that
Yes.
women weren't able to even have a credit card without being signed off by either their husband or I think their father, some male figure in their life. So all of this is very recent history for us that women have been able to like claw back a lot of the abilities that we have now and the rights that we have now that are now trying to be erased again. And so obviously as women, we know what that feels like. We know that in relationships, again, we have been told we're supposed to be subservient to our partners, that men are supposed to be in the dominant role and we're kind of just the helpers. And that can look a lot of different ways in different relationships, but in the most harmful way, like a lot of women have experienced, can go to abuse and actually being physically, emotionally manipulated and abused. And so women walk through the world feeling afraid, but men also walk through the world being completely disassociated from that piece of themselves too. And I'm a mother of a 3-year-old son. I like intimately understand what it could mean for him to grow up and then to have to actually like distance himself from what it means to have come from a mother, to have come from a womb, to have come from someone that has this nurturing, loving presence in his life. And to then have to completely say like, no, I'm not going to allow that to be part of who I am anymore because it's not in line with what it means to be quote unquote a man in our society. And it just breaks my heart. Like I have a husband who I love dearly. I have lots of men in my life. It breaks my heart that so many men have walked through the world feeling like a whole half of them is just having to be segmented off because it doesn't fall in line with what our society deems as okay for them to be. And so
Yes.
I think that has created this place again where, I mean, men are deeply insecure as a whole. I think, again, this is kind of creating big statements and sweeping statements that is all individual based on the person. But I think as a whole, the men in my life at least tend to be very insecure. They tend to have a harder time understanding fully like who they are, what their purpose is on this planet. And they tend to again like assert dominance because that's the only way that they have been taught to feel like they have some type of purpose, and they have been taught to assert dominance over the feminine instead of working alongside of the feminine and knowing that the feminine is not their enemy. It's actually one part of them and two part of like where they came from, and should be something that is embraced and harmonized with instead of something that is like I'm going to conquer over to feel better about myself. And I think that's where a lot of this comes from, is like this feeling that I have to be better than this thing or else I don't know who I am. And so I really think that we need, like you were saying, to come to a place where we are coming in harmony with each other. I am still just coming into my own understanding of exactly like what the divine feminine and what the divine masculine is. But if your listeners could like close their eyes and think of being held in a space, both you and I create, like you were saying, sacred, safe spaces. And the divine masculine really is the energy that like holds the space. I use the word container, but I don't want people to think that it's a container that's trying to squash the feminine. It's holding the feminine. It's saying, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be rooted in myself. And it comes from a very grounded, like, this is coming from me, who I know who I am, I know what I'm meant to be doing right now, and I'm going to hold the space for you to then be free. The feminine wants to be free. She wants to be wild. She wants to just like run in the forest with no care in the world. And she's creative. That's where our creative energy comes from, is from our wombs. And she's just like the potential energy that could do anything, but it doesn't have meaning and it doesn't have form without this container. And so the divine feminine, divine masculine work together by having this like wild, creative, passionate energy that then has room to be like channeled and focused into something because of the masculine like holding the container for that to happen. And
Okay.
so, yeah. So again, everybody has those in us. It's not just men have one and women have the other. We all have that in us. And I think healing both of those together, really finding the true masculine within all of us, and then being able to really reclaim the feminine and bridge those things together, or bridge those energies together, would be so healing for the world and for how we come together in union, or how we relate to one another as people.
I love that explanation. And you talked a lot about safety and, having both the divine feminine and masculine in all of us, whether you're a woman, a man, or you identify as something else, right? And so I think that that is a beautiful way of looking at it, because we do. And I love the explanation that you said we all come from a sperm and an egg, and that is the genetic material of both a man and a woman. And so we do have both of those energies in us. And that was a really great way to explain it. I want to talk a little bit about why you think that it's important to heal in community. And you kind of like brought that up a little bit here with healing for like collectively for the world. But what does community mean in terms of healing? Because yes, we all do want to be sovereign, right? And we want to be independent of our own lives and be able to live our own lives and to direct our own lives. But at the time, community is so essential to help to collectively heal. So I would love to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring this into really tangible form. I just came off of a retreat that I co-led with a colleague of mine who is also in the sex realm. And it was a retreat for women around shedding what no longer serves you in your life and being able to then step more into your pleasure. And being able to be in a room with, it was 10 women and then 2 women leaders. So there was 12 of us all together. There's just nothing like it. And especially in the sex space, women, again, because we've been taught not to do this, don't typically sit in a room together and talk about their sexual experiences and normalize what that looks like, and be like, oh, I have this problem. Does anybody else have this problem? Oh, yeah, I've had that problem. This is what I do. And just being able to feel like, again, I think it comes back to our nervous systems. We are collective people, whether we know it or not. We were meant to be in tribes. And so I think having spaces where you come in contact with other like-minded, and I like to say like-hearted people that are going through a transformation just like you and are willing to kind of hold the space for everyone and, again, normalize what people have been experiencing. So much of this, again, is so taboo that I've had so many clients say to me, this is the first time that they've ever talked this in depth about sex. And so I really think, I mean, it's great if you want to open up to somebody like me. I've historically been in a therapist role, but now being in a coach role, I think that is a huge first step. And then being able to feel safe enough in a group space to be vulnerable and then to have a lot of your own experiences reflected back to you and seeing other people's progress, I think really helps us as individuals then think about our own experiences in different ways and to feel like we have a community that is helping us heal so that we don't have to do it alone. And so my course that I have called Sacred Desire is a cohort course that people will go through as a group together. They will get a chat that they will all have that they can talk to each other in between sessions. And I just think I was so inspired after I was on this retreat. By the end of this retreat, it was only 2.5 days, or really like 48 hours altogether. By the end of this retreat, the frequency everybody had together, we were just vibrating. We were just buzzing. Everybody felt so held. Everyone felt like they knew the stories of all the women. They knew what the next steps were that everyone wanted to take into their own lives. Everyone didn't want to leave because it was like, this felt like such a comfy, cozy space away from our normal lives that everybody just felt was magic for them. And I really felt it too. Both my co-hosts and I were like bawling on our way home because of the experience that we had. And I know I'm talking more specifically towards women, but I think men could definitely have this experience too. I think men that go into men's groups and really are able to talk about their own emotions, their own experiences, have a lot of the same feelings and same experiences too, of feeling normalized, feeling seen, feeling heard, feeling like they're not alone. And so I do really think that healing in community is one of the greatest gifts that you could have, and knowing that you get to go on this journey with other people that are going through the same thing as you. I think it's just priceless. So I really do think, individual work is amazing, and being able to do it in a group, I think sometimes is even more vibrant than what you could do individually.
Yeah, that's amazing. It sounds like a great experience that you had in that retreat. So you were just talking about normalizing these conversations, right? And it is a lot of what I like to do on this show, really trying to normalize conversations about sex, sexuality, connection, pleasure. And a lot of people, you're right, have not had these conversations about sex. They just are not having these conversations with their girlfriends or even with their partners when they are in full-blown sexual relationships with them, and maybe even marriages that have been around for years and years and years. They're not talking about it. And so part of what I love to do on this show is the role play, because it does model these conversations and helps people to see how these conversations can happen, and the verbiage that can be used. And so with that being said, I just want to see if you have any questions before we start the role play.
I don't think so. I think it'll still
Okay.
take me back to my my therapist roots of doing role plays in grad school. So yeah,
Okay. Oh,
go for
good. So
it.
you've had some experience. Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start now then. Okay. And okay. So we already decided what roles we're gonna play. So we'll just jump right into that. Okay. And action. If you've ever wished sex could feel more connected, more intense, or honestly just more fun, you need to check out Shameless Care. They're a telemedicine company built entirely around sexual health, real doctors, real prescriptions, and products that actually work. Like Shameless Chemistry, their oxytocin plus tadalafil blend that deepens connection and boosts arousal. Or Shamelessly Aroused, a topical cream with the active ingredient found in men's ED medication, increasing blood flow exactly where it counts. Every order includes a short video introduction from your doctor, transparent pricing, and no subscriptions ever. Just real, sex-positive healthcare that delivers results. Because you're a Please Me listener, you can use coupon code PLEASEME for $15 off your order of any product on the Shameless Care website. Use the code PLEASEME, that's PLEASEME, at checkout to claim your $15 off. Again, that's shamelesscare.com, code PLEASEME. Because great sex shouldn't be complicated. It should be shameless. This episode is sponsored by Shameless Care. Hi, Kayla.
My day kicks off with a refreshing Celsius energy drink, then straight to the gym. Pre-K pickup, back home to meal prep. Time for my fire station shift. One more Celsius, gotta keep the lights on. When the 3-alarm hits, I'm ready. Celsius. Live, fit, go. Grab a cold, refreshing Celsius at your local retailer or locate now at Celsius.com.
Eczema is unpredictable, but you can flare less with Ebglyss, a once-monthly treatment for moderate to severe eczema. After an initial 4-month or longer dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. With school out, summer is the perfect time to teach our kids real-world money skills they'll use forever. Greenlight is a debit card and the #1 family finance and safety app used by millions of families, helping kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Parents can send their kids money and track their spending and saving, while kids build money confidence and skills in fun ways. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/Spotify. That's greenlight.com/Spotify.
It's been almost a month since we've seen each other. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm really excited to see you again too.
Yes. Do you think you can come give me a hug? I just want to feel you and hold you. I haven't seen you in so long.
Sure, I can come give you a hug.
Okay. You smell so good. I can't wait to to maybe go upstairs and play a little bit in the bedroom later.
I would love that too, but I think, I just got home from work. I feel like I need a minute to kind of decompress before we get into that.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Do you want me to open this bottle of champagne that I brought over?
Sure, we can do that.
Okay, awesome. So, opening the bottle and pouring a couple of glasses, champagne glasses for sure. They have to be flutes. And here's your glass. Do you want to come sit over here on the sofa with me?
Yeah, let's go sit on the sofa and maybe just have a chat for a few minutes so I can kind of let go of my day.
Okay. Did you have a good day?
I did. There were some really good things that happened and some stressful things, but I'm just trying to get back into the space and feel like I can be here with you.
Okay, yeah. Well, sure. Have a seat. And what do you think of the champagne? Do you like it?
Oh yeah, it's very good. Thank you.
Great. Come closer. I want to put my arm around you.
Okay. I think I could do that.
Okay. If you don't mind, I'm gonna just rub on your shoulder. Is that okay? And your arm?
Yeah, thanks for asking.
You're welcome. How about over here on your leg?
I'm not sure if I'm ready for that quite yet.
Okay. All right. No problem. I'm willing to slow down a little bit if you are.
Yeah, I think I would like to just chat for a while first, if that's okay.
Absolutely. I'm fine with that. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I'd like to know how your day was as well.
It was good. The drive over here was pretty chill, not too much traffic. And I was just really looking forward to seeing you and to, having some connection.
Yeah, it's nice to feel like we can come back together after being away from each other for so long.
Absolutely. So, what are you thinking? Do you want to go take a shower in a little bit and maybe, um, regroup in the bedroom?
I would like to get that, but it feels like things are just moving fast, and it feels like sex is kind of the only thing that you have on your brain. Don't you want to know anything else about what's been going on with me for the past few weeks since we've seen each other last?
I actually really would love all of that. So, yes, absolutely. Let's chat.
Okay. I just feel like my body gets a little bit anxious when we're moving too fast. And I feel like sex is maybe the only thing that you want from me. I really want to feel like we can connect on an emotional level first before we move into being physically intimate with each other.
Okay, I can totally get that, and my apologies for trying to move too fast. I definitely am just really looking forward to, we had such an amazing explosive experience last time. I'm just really looking forward to like getting to that again, but I can definitely be patient.
Okay. Can you tell me what it means to you to reconnect in that way, or how it feels to you to want to be physical again? Because sometimes I feel like that's the only thing that you want. So I'm curious to know, how does that feel in your body?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't think I've ever been asked that before. Um, I just feel like, when we are in that space, that I feel just more emotionally connected to you. And so, to me, that just brings me closer to you. So I guess that's sort of what I am looking for.
Mm. I think that's helpful. It's helpful for me to know that you're not just wanting my body, that you're wanting to connect to me. And I know that that is kind of the only space that sometimes you feel like you can connect to me. I know we've talked about before that talking about your emotions can sometimes be hard to do, but that is where I feel connected, is when you open up and share certain things with me about what you're thinking and feeling. And that helps me feel safer to then go into more sexual things with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's slow down a little bit and let's focus on getting you to feel safe, and getting you into that space that you need to be. And I'm here for all of it.
Great. Thank you. Maybe we can just cuddle on the couch for a little bit, and maybe we can talk or listen to music or watch a movie for a little bit, and then we can go upstairs.
Okay, that sounds great. And end scene. So, um, this season we have been talking about the quote unquote ick, right? And
Mhm.
Kayla's ick, you want to just explain what your ick is?
Sure. So, I mean, this is an ick that I personally have, but I also see it in a lot of clients too, is feeling like we're moving too far too fast. Um, I said that I'm a mom. I'm also, a business owner, and oftentimes, like, we need a little bit of time. We need a little bit of space. And if you are a parent, if you are somebody that, has a partner where you don't see each other very often, for me specifically, I really feel like I need emotional connection first. That my body, even though I love this person, like I've been with my husband for 12 years now, even though we are familiar and my body like knows that he is a safe person, just having that disconnection, it needs to be repaired a little bit and get to a place where I'm feeling connected. I'm feeling like I am safe in this space. Again, it's not like, oh, I'm afraid he's going to do something. It's just my body has to get to a place where I feel safe enough to move into a sexual space. So having a conversation, oftentimes, sometimes just cuddling and watching a show together is really helpful for me to kind of just relax into it and have more spontaneous desire. So yeah, I think a lot of women often feel like their partners move too far too fast. And you did a great job, Eve, of saying all the things that I think partners that can communicate well could or would say. That a lot of times our partners really do want to just connect, but the way that they often connect is through sexual touch and, having quote unquote sex, whatever that means for you. And I think everyone needs emotional connection, and everyone obviously can like grow in their sexual connection. But I think for me personally, and for a lot of women, oftentimes we need a little bit of room to like get to that space. And
Yes.
especially, if there's been a long time where we haven't connected, then there definitely needs to be some like light connection first, of some hand holding, some kissing, some just cuddling, some let's actually talk about our day, let's talk about what we're going through right now, to connect on multiple levels before we just dive into something sexual.
Absolutely. You're right. A lot of women feel this way. I mean, I would say most of them do. And, safety is so essential. Feeling safe in your body, feeling safe with the other person, feeling like they have your best interest at heart, and that you're not on different wavelengths where one thinking purely about sex and the other person's thinking purely about emotional connection. You have to be on the same page. And, safety is going to be dependent on whether or not you're sensing that you're on the same page with the other person. So I appreciate that that was your ick. That was a good one and a very common one. So thank you so much for joining me. And I want to make sure that my listeners can find you. Where can we find you?
So if you go in the show notes and click on the link that will be provided for you, that will go to a wait list that I am creating for my course, Sacred Desire. I'm going to be launching a beta version for like 3 to 5 women to go through the first iteration of it with me. It is an arc of, we're kind of going to go into the underworld a little bit and reclaim our desire. And so going into the underworld just means, in therapy terms, is doing a little bit of shadow work. We're going to look at where you have been, what has kind of been your sexual blueprint so far, and what you really want your pleasure to look like. And then we're going to really help you have the tools and the know how to really reclaim and connect that. And then you're going to rise together with these other women that are going through it with you. Again, I'm doing it as a cohort, so you get to do it in community. And I just think that this is a really, really special way to move through your own hangups and barriers around sex, desire, pleasure, and really, again, coming home to yourself, to your power, and doing that in a collective community with other women. So if you go down in the show notes, click the link, you can sign up for the wait list. You will get a free 45-minute call with me where we'll talk about kind of your specific experiences and what you're going through, and how this course could be a really good fit for you, and get you a few things that you could be doing before the course starts. The beta version will start January 21st, 2026. But I will be launching again in spring. So if that one doesn't work for you, you can definitely stay on the wait list until then. And I want to keep launching it over time. So no matter when you're listening to this, still go down, put your name on the wait list, and I will definitely contact you and let you know when the next launch will be. If you sign up for that too, you get access to my newsletter if you opt in for that, which I send out on the new and full moon each month, with lots of different things that I have around what I call liberation wisdom around feminine rising, a lot of what I talked about in here, but also around pleasure. And I usually put some journal prompts and just special things about each new and full moon in there. So that's a really good way to stay connected with me, because I also talk about any of my offerings. And then you also will get my free Sacred Body workbook. That's all about kind of breaking down body image, how we've been told in our society. I think body image is one of the main barriers that a lot of women have to pleasure. And so this is a great first step in giving you a lot of tools to start deconstructing that for yourself and reclaiming your own relationship to your body, feeling like you have a positive and sacred relationship to your body again. And that's a great first step again before entering into the course, if that's something that you want. So you'll get that for free. You get a call with me for free. And if you want to, you can also opt into my newsletter by just signing into that wait list or putting your name on the wait list. So
Great.
You can do all of that. And then you could also find me on Instagram if you want to just follow me on socials. I'm at Connected Pleasure Coaching or at Connected Pleasure Podcast as well.
Fantastic. And congratulations on your new podcast as well. And so with that being said, I want to thank everybody for listening today. Again, you can always find me on pleaseme.online. And, if you're interested in any of my coaching, or if you're interested in looking at my prior webinars, or, a host of other things that I have on there, my website is award nominated. And so please check it out. It's a great site for education. And with that being said, I want to thank you again for being on the show today, Kayla.
Thank you so much. I had such a great time. I love your little blurb at the end of doing a role play. I think that's so fun. So thank you so much for having me. It was really fun to be here.
Yes, it was really fun to have you too. Until next time.
Bye, everyone.
If you're feeling disconnected from your body, struggling with intimacy, or facing a sexual health condition, you're not alone. There is no shame in what you're experiencing, and you don't have to figure it out on your own. But the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to reclaim your confidence, pleasure, and connection. That's why I offer a free 15-minute discovery call to explore what's going on and whether working together is the right next step. Spots fill quickly, so don't wait. The link is in the show notes. Grab your time now.
Are you looking for a sexy date? Look no further than SDC.com. SDC.com is the premier ethically non-monogamous website that is worldwide. It also hosts a wealth of information on sexuality and sexual health, and I host a free live webinar monthly on the site. You can use code 37340 for a free trial membership on me, and be sure to reach out on the site and say hello.
I want to personally invite you to join me on Patreon for ad-free listening, bonus episodes, and early releases. Already there is a lot of bonus content on there, with many webinars that I've done in the past and a show that I've never released to the public before. My show is completely self-funded, and when you are able to support me in this way, I'm able to spread my message of body positivity, self-love, and women's empowerment, and empowerment in general around sexuality around the globe. And so with that being said, I appreciate everyone who has already joined Patreon. And if you've thought about joining, now's your nudge to do so. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms. Wrestling with spam calls, phishing emails, or annoying scam texts? It's happening because your private information is being sold across the web. PCmatic D-List offers a free exposure scan showing which data brokers and people search sites are selling your data. Then, with a basic upgrade, PCmatic D-List completes the opt-out process to get your private information delisted. Stop the annoyance and safeguard your private information now. Visit www.pcmatic.com today.
Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, and convenient installation options. Go to TireRack.com to see tire test results, tire ratings, and consumer reviews, and be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.